I'm coming in as a new woman, you know, and it can often make me look like I'm trying to, you know, cause this drama between them two or make a difficult situation out of something it's difficult because I see how it affects him. And because it's my partner and I love him, it affects me 10 times more. So I'm sat at work and I'm actually saying to him by these times, please don't tell me what she said whilst I'm at work, which is horrible for him because he's working as well and he wants to be able to share that with me. But physically, it's making me ill now at this point where I'm thinking, God, I'm struggling to even do my job. I'm struggling to do that and then go and pick up his daughter.
What's going on, people, and welcome back to the Baby Fathers podcast for another brand new episode. I'm your host and I go by the name of DJ Ridler. Now listen up, a lot of you don't watch this video and all now some of you ain't subscribed to this channel yet, you know. So listen, I need to subscribe to the channel right now. Press the notification button so anytime a new episode comes out, you're not going to be the first to know. And don't forget to like the video, it's very important. Make sure you like the video, all right? Cool. So on today's show, we have another special guest. And this guest, she goes by the name of Molly. How you doing, Molly?
Hey, I'm good, thank you.
Molly, just bring the mic a bit close to you, please.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
What has made you come to the Baby Fathers?
So I'm coming to speak on behalf of my fiancé. We've been together for sort of 3 years, and the pain that he's sort of been through when it comes to family courts and CAFCAS and so on with his daughter. And I just want to really raise awareness, you know, with regards to how it's affected me personally, my relationship with his daughter and also him.
Okay, excellent. So before we start, I've got to put a disclaimer out there. Anything what you say today is your truth and is your truth to how you know it to be. Mm-hmm. No one can't say anything different because how you understand it. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're gonna go back with before I actually go into the deep side. I want to start with how did you two kind of connected before you went on this roller coaster journey with him?
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to live in Peterborough. He was working locally to where I was. We met during lockdown. We sort of obviously progressed within a relationship, knew each other for 2 years, more as friends, I suppose. After that period, we got into like a romantic relationship. And it wasn't until about a year into our relationship that I was introduced to meeting his child and so on. And
how did that all happen when got introduced to his daughter?
So it was discussed with his baby mother and confirmed that it was okay. And then I went to his hometown basically and met her in his father's home and stayed the night and went from there really.
And how was the relationship between you and his daughter?
Yeah, great from the get-go. We just kind of bonded straight away. She's a lovely girl, easy to get on with. And yeah, we just hit it off.
And how old is his little one, sorry?
So she's 6 now. So she was 3 when we met.
And how was the situation at the time when he told her mum that he's with you and he was going to introduce you to the daughter? How did that all play out?
So prior to that being arranged, I'd received some messages from her basically slandering him, saying he's a bad person, this, that, I can do better. Obviously, I'm a big believer of, you know, it's up to me to make that judgment. I've been in past relationships that are bad and I don't feel the need to reach out and, you know, people are different with different people. So I took it upon myself to deal with that myself. And then when that was quite some time after that I was then introduced to his daughter and the conversation to my knowledge went quite well. She just said, yeah, it's fine. I think there was some like rules around what she did want and didn't want with regards to like posting pictures and things like that. But other than that, it was fine.
And when you had this conversation with her, when you're saying she was messaging in the beginning to say to you that he was a bad person and all these kind of things. How was she able to get hold of your contact details?
She just messaged me. Well, I was going to say she just messaged me on Instagram, but she actually reached out to every social media platform. It's just that's the one I happened to pick up.
Okay. All right. So you met the daughter. Things are getting along. You spoke to the mum. She told you the do's and don'ts. From there, moving forward, what happened after that?
So from there, it was pretty smooth running with regards to my relationship with him and his daughter. I knew that it was disjointed with their relationship from the beginning anyway. It was kind of easy to pick up on without... My partner's very closed book. He's not going to sit there and say, my baby mum's done this or whatever. But it was always, we were traveling, 2 hours to pick up his daughter. And then it was, actually, we've got to pick her up in 4 hours. Or it was, she's going to pick her up at one time. And then it comes to that time, we've got to get a train home or drive home or whatever. And she's saying, no, you're going to have her for longer or whatever. And he's obviously trying to explain to me, we're going to have her for a bit longer or whatever. And that just was very reoccurrent. So that's what made it kind of easy to pick up, I guess. And as time went on, he opened up more and things became more apparent.
So would you say that the kind of thing you're describing, that the mum wasn't being consistent to what she was saying? She was always moving the goalpost to when she chose to always wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed from my perspective, although it was more like an inconvenience thing. So it was, if it was convenient to him and she could make it inconvenient, she would. So if it was pushing it back an hour so he missed the train, she would. If it was so that he wouldn't be able to go to work, she would. And it was those kind of things.
And what would you think would be her motive behind doing these kind of things?
That to me became more apparent later on in our relationship. Initially, I just kind of thought it was just tit for tat, and these things happen in past relationships. As time moved on, it became more apparent there was more to do with him and not their relationship, but her wanting to maybe still be with him or maybe still have a relationship with him. And I don't want to say jealousy, but I guess that is an element of it.
Said about he's a closed book. When was you able to pick up to know there was something wrong with him? If something went bad between him and his baby mother?
So she's very much like a, I don't know what the word is for it. Like people that bombard with text messages. So it's like multiple text messages. Yeah, and lots of them at a time. I could pick up because he would be quiet and obviously looking, and you can.
Would the mood change in the room as well when he?
Yeah, he just came across more down. He's quite an upbeat person. He's always messing around, joking, and easy to get on with. And it's just, I'm the same. If I get messages like that, I instantly kind of go within myself. And I just picked up that energy from him, really. You
being a lady yourself, so you can maybe answer these kind of questions. Why is it that a woman will send a guy 1,000 of texts? What is she trying to gain from all of this?
To be honest, I'm guilty of sometimes doing it myself. Okay. I'll be straight up. I think it's that, for me personally anyway, I will think as I'm typing. So I'll type it and think, that's it. And then I send it. And as soon as I've sent it, I'm like, oh no, there's something else I need to say. When it's not fair. It's not a fair thing to do. I don't like it, receiving it. It makes me feel really anxious and horrible. So I know that to be on the receiving end of it must also be.
So do you blame fathers who may not engage when women even do this in general?
No, absolutely not. I mean, like I said, I personally struggle with dealing with things like that. It's something that I would perhaps shut off from personally. So no, I think sometimes it's best to walk away from that scenario, let that person express and rant, and then approach it later on when the person's cooled down.
All right, cool. You met the child, you lot are getting on. You've had the situation with the mum where you lot are talking. Then we didn't have the texts going on. What happened from after that?
So from after that, I think things started around, we went on holiday. We took his daughter on her first holiday.
Okay.
When we came back from the holiday, this had been going on with, I'd known his daughter, for about a year by now. So we'd then gone on holiday, which was consented by the mother. It was fine. And some pictures have been posted to my story, not on my feed, just to my story. When we got back, she sent a series of like really aggressive voice notes to my partner, basically saying that he'd not complied with her rules and she'd asked him one simple thing, and if he can't do that, then he won't be involved in his daughter's life. Okay. Now, prior to this message after this message happening, I'd actually removed it from my story and messaged her and said, look, appreciate that. You probably are upset or it makes you feel uncomfortable. I've removed it. She was really polite to me and was like, thank you, I really appreciate it. The conversation went on to where she was saying about me meeting up with her and meeting up with both of her children together. And I was like, that's fine. If that makes you feel more comfortable, I'm happy to do that. And that was kind of like the last communication we really had on good terms, I guess. But she was still sending, we were together at the time, but she was still sending these voice notes to him. So she's being
she's being nice to you.
Yeah.
When she's talking to you in the early stages, but every time she's communicating with him, she's being rude to him, sending him the rude messages, the rude voice notes. So she's playing one card to you and trying to make out that when he's talking nonsense, but not realizing he's sharing this information with you and he's playing it to you, so you can actually see for yourself.
Yeah, with my partner's not the sort of person that's gonna sit here and read out messages to me. We're not like that. But when you're playing a voice note and we're in the same room and we're living in the same house, I'm going to hear it, right? And especially when someone's screaming down the phone, etc. And when it's to the narrative of you're not going to see your child, obviously that's going to affect the person. So, yeah, I heard these and then it didn't roll with what she's projecting to me as well. So, yeah, it made things difficult because I just don't understand the motive behind that, you know?
Seeing the disrespect happening with him, in the early stages, she was being nice to you. Now she's come off the holiday, you're starting to see the pattern of the behaviours changing towards you, where it's now maybe not being as nice as she used to be. What happened in that situation?
My communication with her just completely stopped. We were never talking on a great deal anyway. It would be on and off conversations based on, I guess, things that had happened or scenarios that I thought maybe we could make this better. So our communication was just then stopped. I was happy for her to reach out to me. I kept in fact, I opened my social media so that it was public. Yeah. So that she can openly view, you know, if I'm posting something about your child, if I'm out doing something with your child, you can see it. If you've got questions about it, you can ask me, that's fine. I've always been open and honest and happy for her to communicate with me, have my contact details, meet with me, whatever, you know, makes it best for the child, you know?
When that all happened, when did it started getting more difficult? Did she ever start holding the child away from him after this holiday?
That was never like a major thing. She does it every now and then when it benefits her. But the main thing that it started to get difficult was that his daughter was actually at our house, well, my house at the time, because my partner was just living with me. So she was coming into a home that, you know, she hadn't known for long. And she was crying her eyes out saying, I don't want to go home. I want to live here. Okay. And at 3 years old, going on 4, this happening every weekend is concerning.
Would be.
So that's when it started to get more difficult, because where do you go from that? You know, my partner had the conversations of like, what's going on? Why are you upset? But again, she's very young. He raised that to the mother. Who basically just said the child's lying. She doesn't want to live with you. What she's telling you is lies. Nothing's going on at home. And it snowballed. It had like a snowball effect. So each time she was coming, because she's so young, things were coming out of her mouth that I don't think she perhaps understood the severity of the comments. So there was a particular time that I remember where we were all just sat in the living room, and she'd said that there was dog poo in her bedroom, and that her mum had said that it's okay because it just means that the dog likes you. And we're like, there should never be dog poo in your bedroom. You're 4 years old.
Well,
like,
it's not in the house full stop.
do you know what I mean? And then to express that actually it's okay is even more strange. And these things just kept happening with hygiene, picking up on things of, you know, her coming with greasy hair and things like that. It just, like I said, had that snowball effect.
And was there any time where he turned around and told her mum that he was maybe wanting to take his child full time?
Yeah, so after she'd asked for about, I would say, a month, now we had her every weekend. That was just the way it went. That was what the mum requested. So it's every weekend and the holidays. Now, after a month of this happening every weekend, we used to take her back to Stafford. So face to face, knocked on the door and had the conversation with her face to face and basically said, look, this is what my daughter's telling me. I think that it's best, you know, if maybe she comes and stays with us. What are your thoughts? It was straight no, not happening. Close the door. That was that. As soon as we left, it was the messages again. You're going to take my child away from me. We're going to go through mediation. You're not seeing her until X, Y, and Z's happened, blah, blah, blah. He was obviously naturally fine with that. We can go through mediation. That's fine. It's not a problem. You know, he's not here to be causing drama with her. He's raising concerns that his child's raised to him, right? And I guess what's more alarming as well is that I hadn't been in his child's life for that long, and she's raising these concerns to me. And, you know, that's really difficult, especially from my perspective, because I'm coming in as a new woman, you know, and it can often make me look like I'm trying to, you know, cause this drama between them two or make a difficult situation out of something that's not difficult.
So was these problems there before he got with you, or was these problems came after he got with you?
To my knowledge, they've always had difficulties.
Okay.
I mean, to give a background, obviously his daughter's 6. They weren't together since 2016, so that's way before her birth. She's got an older sister. That older sister was actually told to him that was his. And he requested throughout the pregnancy DNA tests, which were refused. She was brought into the world, raised by him for a period of time, till he put his foot down and said, look, I need a DNA test to find out that it wasn't his child. Wow. Which was obviously heartbreaking for him. And
so how long was he bringing up that child before he found out that child wasn't his?
6 months, I believe.
When he found out that child wasn't his, is that what made their relationship break up?
I don't believe they were in a relationship at that time anyway. But it obviously made things considerably worse. It's my understanding as well that when he found out, it was more of a, rather than an apologetic approach, it was more, you know, like, you should be a real man and step up and look after this man's child. I mean, to go through that anyway, be at the birth of a child and then raise it with your family. I mean, they had baby showers and etc. with their families. That's heartbreaking.
And she fully knew that this child may not have been his, and she didn't feel to share that with him.
Yeah.
All right. So, just because I'm kind of finding some bearings here, so that same woman. He has a second child of that one, which is the younger one.
His biological daughter, yeah.
Yeah, so the first one is not his biological daughter. So when he found out the first one wasn't his child, when did that second child come involved?
So I believe there's a year between them.
Okay, so it's short.
Yeah, it's a short period of time. It was very much that I think families deal with these things in difficult ways, and my partner's family are not massive talkers about
the private.
So yeah, so he, I think, struggled with that and confided in her, in the fact that, you know, even though she'd put him through this, it was still a common ground. Like, the child was there. She understood the scenario as well. So although that's not perhaps the right way to go about it, you're not thinking logically when things like that happen.
Of course. And then that child's father, the one who found out he wasn't his child, is that child father now in that child's life?
Yeah, so that child's father, they've had a DNA test. She now visits the other child visits the father on holidays. The mother said that she changed the surname and took him off the birth certificate. We went to court 3 weeks ago, it's still on there. So even that, like, you know, that other parent's got no parental rights. That's a massive concern, especially with the things that we're going through that have been raised about his child.
So was that other guy she with, were they just kind of, it was like a fling going on down there? Or?
They met on holiday, so
that literally just happened when she was on holiday. She came back pregnant, said it was my man's child. No disrespect, but your partner's child.
Yeah.
And then made him believe. Was he, obviously he was paying, they said stuff for the baby shower, so he was paying all this stuff.
Yeah.
She didn't even get his money back for them stuff.
No, there was no remorse at all. And there still isn't. You know, even when he's asked to this day, you told me that you changed my name, you changed the child's name, you've taken me off the birth certificate. She's like, I didn't. Or I'm trying to sort it still. The child's 8 years old.
And the child is still walking, that's from 2 months. The child was 6 months, sorry.
6 months
when
old.
he found out, and the child's now 8.
Yeah, she's 8 and's got his surname.
Still carrying his surname. All right, cool. So moving on from there, he's found out that the child is not his. What happened from moving onwards?
Yeah, so obviously he raised it to the mother. The mother wasn't happy, sent the messages. So she booked in the mediation, which is great. It's a good step in the right direction, right? So there was two sets. So she did one on her own, and then he did one on his own, and then there should have been a joint one. Because of the distance, so she's based in Stafford. We were in Peterborough at the time. It was like virtual. So they completed those. When it came to the joint one, where they were supposed to obviously come to a conclusion, work it out together, the mediation actually contacted him and said, we can't get hold of her. She's not responding. So it's best we cancel, basically. Otherwise it's going to cost him. So they said, we can forward you the court orders, the court forms, which initially he didn't act on. He asked his baby mother why she hadn't done it. She basically said, there's no point. We're never going to come to a resolution. So what's the point in doing it? So that's where we was at with that. It then kind of continued from there. So my partner's always worked in London. I mean, he worked in Peterborough for a period of time, but his contract what he does is quite niche. So he was obviously commuting. It was costing a lot of money. I work in recruitment, so I can move quite easily. So we decided that it's going to cost less for us to move to London together, and then we would collect his daughter still as per usual. So we're now travelling 12 hours a weekend. It's costing £300 a weekend. Wow. And there's not a weekend we miss. If he can't do it, I do it.
Okay.
So, you know, she's always picked up from school. She's always taken home on time, you know, because the priority is her, right?
Of course.
But these times she's still saying, I don't want to live at home. I'm unhappy. She's getting older now, you know, like she's 5 going on 6. And she's still upset. She's still raising these concerns. And the more time goes on, the more concerning they're getting. You know, it's like, my sister's horrible to me. My sister hits me. She beats me up. Mummy's done this. Mummy's hit me even. And these things are just going on and on and on. And when they're raised to me, obviously I'm raising them directly to my partner straight away and saying, this is what's being said. And, you know, I'm telling her, please tell daddy. And if you can't tell daddy, then you know, maybe tell someone at school. So it then got to last year, April, half term. And she's still saying these same things. She's coming in shoes that are 3 sizes too small for her. But he's paying £150 a week in child maintenance. There's no excuse for that. She's got jumpers that have got holes in, but her mum's driving around in a brand new BMW.
Yeah.
So then he gets a call basically during this half term, a message on Facebook, asking for a call from his baby mother's mum. So he speaks to her on the phone and she basically says, the home's not hygienic, it's uninhabitable, a child shouldn't be living there. If your child's saying she doesn't want to live there, she's telling you the truth. Okay. It's like, I'm telling you, keep your child. So that's what he proposed he was going to do. He went down the avenues of, he called social services, he spoke to them. He called the early help team, found out through them that there'd been 3 or 4 incidents that she'd been involved in, which they'd never even told him. He wasn't aware of these. I mean, these things are from negligence up to her being found in her nappy at the end of the road, on her own, like at a main road, down to her appearance at school, domestic violence at home, and so on. So he's finding out all these things. He's spoken to the school and said, look, as far as I'm aware, you're aware that things are going on as well. I think I'm going to see if I can get her to stay with me for a bit. Is there any way you can send her schoolwork, etc.? So he's then approached the mother and said, look, she's in my care at the moment. I understand you're going through difficult times. I understand that she had a partner at this time, that things are difficult for you and you're also trying to maintain looking after a child that's going through some, she said that her other child was going through testing for ADHD or autism. So he was like, what I think the best solution is, I keep my daughter for now. I look after her for a period of time. And when you've sorted yourself out and you've got back on the right track, if you want her back, that's fine. Yeah, we can come to that conclusion when we get there, and I'm happy for her to come back into your care. But this is where we need to go because it's got to that stage. She obviously kicked off about that. The next day, turn up at the house. He gave our address because, he's trying to help her. He's not trying to cause an issue. He's not trying to withhold her from her daughter. He's just trying to help at this stage. She's saying that she wanted to meet up with the child and him in a public place and ask her face to face who she wants to live with. Now, I mean, I come from a family where my mum and dad split up, and I've personally been asked that question. Who do I want to live with? In front of my mum and my dad. That's not a nice thing to ask. And I was 8 at the time. This little girl was 5. And that's heartbreaking to have to sit there and think, I've got to choose between my mother and my father. So he obviously said, look, I don't think that's right. I'm not going to withhold you from seeing her. That's fine. But let's get something in place so that I know that she's staying here. Then you can see her. We can arrange things. You can have her on weekends or whatever until you get back on track. So anyway, yeah. So fast forward, she's turned up at the house. She's kicking off and screaming. We've literally walked back from work, and his mum was looking after the child upstairs, living in an apartment. So I just walked into the house because I didn't want to cause any more friction than there already is. That's between them two. They can have a discussion, and I don't need to be there to like add fuel to the fire. So 2 hours have gone by now. He's got his phone on the phone to me because she's unpredictable, and the things that she comes out with and the way that she acts is not safe sometimes. So he had it on just in case I needed to call the police or anything like that. She's kicking off and screaming about him cheating and things like this. Bear in mind, like I said, they've not been together since 2016. The priority is the child in this scenario and the safety concerns around her, right? So this is going on. And then she's started to then, after about 2 hours, plead that she can see the child. She's like, I just want to say bye. So to be completely transparent, he came upstairs, me and his mother were there, and he said, I don't know what to do. I've got my daughter here. I know that if my daughter knows that her mum's downstairs, she's going to want to see her mum. I've also got her mum saying that she really wants to see the child to say bye. Now, his mum and him had a conversation and made that decision. I personally said that if I was the mother, I would grab my child and I would run. Because that's what I would do, instinct. He took her downstairs. She asked for a hug. She picked her up. She ran.
Okay.
She's then screaming things to him, you know, along the lines of, you're dead now, while she's got her child in her arms, crying her eyes out, no shoes on, saying, why are you taking me from daddy? And upset. And she doesn't understand what's going on. It's 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. Her mum's running around the streets in London. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. So
was he chasing her? Or?
He didn't chase after her. He walked to follow where she was going, but he didn't chase by any means. You know, I guess he didn't want to make it worse for his daughter than it already is. So he followed her. At this point, I'd obviously heard this on the phone. So I instantly called the police. The reason for me calling the police was because, first of all, she put the child in the car without a car seat, just flung her in the front seat. Second of all, she's hysteric herself. It's a 3.5 hour journey back to Stafford in a car at 9 o'clock at night with a distressed child. That's not safe. You know, there was no need to put that child through that trauma. So that, from there, she blocked all contact. Blocked me from everything, him from everything, his whole family from everything. So that night then, obviously, my partner's distressed, upset, doesn't know where to go from things. And that's when he put in his C-100 form to file for full custody.
So when they got to him filing his paperwork now, how long did it take before it got to court?
Now, ours went quite quickly. He put it in as urgent because obviously she came and took her from his care. And because of the things that were going on with the home, with it being so unhygienic, the neglect, and the potential physical abuse, it went through fast. I think it probably took about, and I'm guessing here, about 6 weeks maybe. Okay. Maybe even sooner than that, that we got the first hearing.
And was, in all in that time there, because you did say before, was the social workers and CAFCAS, was they all involved?
Early help team, they were involved before, but they'd not informed him of any of it. Okay. Which I think is quite strange because he's always had quite a predominant role in his daughter's life. Yeah. And obviously he's on the birth certificate. He regularly collects her from school, but they didn't inform him of anything at all. All right.
So he went court, first hearing 6 weeks. He's gone there for full custody. What was the outcome and what happened inside that first hearing?
So just before that, she actually filed for a non-molestation order against him. Obviously, we got the statement through. The statement, again, was based around that he cheated on her years ago. But she was trying to fabricate that they'd been together more recently or whatever. None of it was really relevant to the actual child.
So can I just say, before I just stop here, I just want to clear this up. Did he cheat on her?
I don't know. I didn't know him in 2016.
Okay, no, the reason I had because she keeps on going about this cheating. Yeah, I mean, have to just check it out.
Boys are boys. Maybe he did. I don't know. Okay. But yeah, that it was years ago.
I mean, the article, the viewers would ask that. Yeah, but go on.
I don't know. Go on. So obviously he's not an abusive person. He's seen abuse himself throughout his life towards women, and when I tell you this man doesn't even raise his voice, I can be kicking off differently because I'm vexed about something and he will not even raise his voice at me.
He looks at you and then gets one of his days.
He's not remotely aggressive or violent at all. So obviously this was put in. He had to get a solicitor to obviously get that taken out before he could even go to this first hearing. So that was ruled out completely, that he wasn't abusive. She even admitted it herself that he wasn't abusive, but still received legal aid from this throughout the whole of the court hearing.
That's what it was for. It was for the legal aid, the free legal aid.
Yeah. So, I mean, where do you even go from that? I mean, he's already now paying out. He's paid the court fees already. He's got a solicitor in there. So the first hearing was, in my opinion, a waste of time. They went in there and just said, I don't think that it's caused that it needs to be an immediate move. So for now, the child will stay in the care of the mother. If you want to appeal it, you can. That's basically what happened. They wouldn't look at any evidence. They wouldn't look at statements. Nothing. It was
just the judge?
Yeah, this was the judge, and there was literally the judge, her and her solicitor, him and his solicitor, and that was literally it. They were in and out.
And why did a judge, being so?
I can't answer that, if I'm going to be honest with you. Obviously, when we were new to the family court system, as far as I was aware, he put together a statement. I thought that would be read. He had evidence. I thought that would be looked at. It was all sent across. It just was told that this isn't the time for that.
Got dismissed.
It's basically told that, later on in the line, you can bring those things up. But later on in the line, it's costing extortionate amounts of money.
So didn't they not go to the house to go and inspect the house?
No, nothing. So when he then appealed it and said, no, we need to go back and I'm not happy with the outcome, that's when then they still didn't look at any evidence really. But they did say that they would do a Section 7. I think they looked at maybe 3 things out of endless amounts of stuff that he had to provide, and just said, look, we'll do a Section 7 with Kafkas, which is where they'll visit her home, visit his home, and speak to the child. So we left feeling that was positive, they're looking into it now. Okay, great. Like they're going to go to the house. They're going to see what's going on. Even if it's, presented in a better light, because that's the other thing, I guess. It's always booked in visits. So if it's around hygiene, then, if you're going to make your house look decent, right?
Of course.
So the Kafkas worker went to the mother's home and put in the report that it could do with better maintaining of hygiene. That was it. The Kafkas worker called my partner on the phone, spoke to him very briefly and asked why does he want the change of residence, and how's his relationship with his child, those sorts of questions. Nothing around the actual thought that had gone into actually moving her. Had he looked at schools? Why would it be better for her to be there? None of those questions were asked. He then asked on the phone, and I was actually working from home at the time, so I overheard this conversation. He said, can you just show me around the apartment quickly on the video call? This viewing took 30 seconds, max. I mean, we live in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not massive. Do you know what I mean? And he then spoke to the child at school, to which he was asking her questions about options that weren't gonna ever happen, about like her seeing mummy and daddy together. Well, any child is gonna say, yeah, actually that would be great, but she's never witnessed that. She's never witnessed them together
Growing up.
either. So it's almost like they're implementing an idea into a child's head, which is an idyllic to a child, you know. Any child's going to want that. That's a happy family, right? So she naturally said, I'd like to see mummy and daddy together. And that's where they left it. So went back to court. The judge saw the Kafkas file and straight away said, it's not big enough. It's too thin, needs redoing. So again, as much as it's good they threw it out and that it was relooked at, that's more money.
Yeah.
That's more money down the drain. She's got all of this for free. He's now putting himself in debt. He's still traveling £300 a weekend. He's still got £150 in child maintenance. A week after special expenses. And this is just piling up. I mean, he's got a well-paid job, but he's got no disposable income from this because everything is outgoings resolved. Do you know what I mean? So then obviously as time's going on, it's not just a solicitor you need a barrister. And throughout these periods of time, it's not even like, so obviously the money's a stress as well, but we're getting constant messages about just anything, petty stuff, you know, like don't put plaits in her hair. And these messages are long, yeah. And as an impact on me personally, it's difficult because I see how it affects him. And because it's my partner and I love him, it affects me 10 times more. So I'm sat at work and I'm actually saying to him by these times, please don't tell me what she said whilst I'm at work. Which is horrible for him because he's working as well and he wants to be able to share that with me. But physically, it's making me ill now at this point where I'm thinking, God, I'm struggling to even do my job. I'm struggling to do that and then go and pick up his daughter. And then on the way back, his daughter's told me something else has happened at home. And then it's taken on that as well.
Do you feel like you're in the middle of this whole thing? Like, because you're dealing with her, having to deal with him and then to deal with the child as well. So you're like the middle person who's trying to put all the dots together, trying to make the whole thing work. But
yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like trying to be a puppet master.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to have a horrible relationship with the mother of his child. I don't want to have a disjointed relationship with his daughter, and I don't want it to be any of that to affect our relationship at the same time. But to be able to balance all of that is near enough impossible. And the impacts are incredible. And I don't think many people look at it from that perspective. I think it's probably different if you don't live with somebody, if you don't see the child on a regular basis, if you're not close with the child. But when you're in a family unit and you're living together and you're seeing that child on a regular basis and you've got that bond with the child, it's really hard. It is really hard.
And kind of just talking on that, because someone like how you're in your situation right now, and it's one of the reasons why we brought you on today, is because outside the platform, we do speak to a lot of girlfriends whose partners are kind of going through the kind of same thing what you're going through, where they're feeling all the pressure and all the stress from their partner because their partner is going through not able to get access to see their child or finding difficulties, going through the system, seeing how it's affecting their partner. And because it's affecting their partner, it's also now coming on to them, because as you lot are the girlfriend, the wives, the fiancés, you lot seem to be the one who takes on all the baggage, you might as well say. And then it's then having a knock-on effect. And I think sometimes people don't see the effects that it's having on the outside person who's trying to support what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been at stages, and I'm a strong person. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life that I've overcome and just carried on. I've walked on from it. And I've been at stages where I've been that mentally ill from this that I've felt like I'm mainly like, I love him unconditionally, but to save myself, I may have to leave it. And to be in that decision, to be in that position to have to make that decision on whether you can physically deal with it, to stay with the person that you love based on somebody else just bombarding them or abusing a relationship is a situation no one should have to be in, especially when a child's involved.
Yeah. Do you think that's one of her motive, though, is to try and make you two break up? For her to then try to say that she's then created what to make him feel even more unhappy?
I would say it's one of the main motives. I don't want that to come across as if I'm saying that because I'm the new girlfriend or whatever. But based on the things that have been brought up in court, based on the things that she's posted about me, said about me, says to him, I mean, we're engaged. Point blank, every message that she ever sends is your girlfriend. She won't address me by my name. She won't admit that we're engaged. She won't accept any of that, you know? So yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. And in terms of, you did mention that sometimes because it's making you become ill and it's affecting yourself, what is the effect that it's having on him?
The same. I mean, he's, like I said, a closed book. He's opened up to me a lot more than he probably has anyone over the past few years. But you can see the toll that it takes on him. And I can pick up on it straight away. He's very much like he'll come home and do annoying stuff, tickle me and do all that madness. And when it's going on, that's not there. He's disengaged. You can't have a conversation with him. And it's hard to be in that relationship because you've got your own stuff going on as well. So for me, if I'm struggling with something outside of that, and I'm saying, why, like, you're so cold with me this week, or you're not talking to me, the communication's bad. And actually it's because this is affecting him drastically. And it's only when you take a step back and you look at the bigger picture that you can really see everything that's going on.
So at this stage now, where is this whole thing at?
So they've then obviously said that they're going to go back and do a Section 7 again. So this time he's been contacted by Kafkas. They're going to come and do a home visit, which is great. So they've gone and done, no, they came to ours first, did a home visit at ours. His child was very close with me that day. Probably more close than she normally is. I mean, we're very close anyway, but she was sort of hiding behind me a little bit. I think she was just a little bit nervous of what was going on. The reason being is the person who initially did the Kafkas thing, I don't know whether they got sacked or what, but that person is not the person who was then dealing with it. Okay. So, and we'd been asked questions about what had gone on with that report. So I'm assuming something happened for them to be removed from that. Yeah. So this lady had come over, very friendly, easy to get on with. The idea was that she'd see obviously our home. She would speak to, I guess, the both of us, speak to my partner, and then see us with the child. From quite early on in the meeting, she was very keen to speak to my partner on his own. So I actually took his daughter and we went and played in her room. We was playing dollies and whatever. Which is a little bit strange because, you know, you're here to see him around the child. Yeah. So he obviously expressed, she asked about the other child. She asked about why the other child's got his surname. Okay. Asked if he could explain that scenario, which to me kind of highlights a bit about the woman as well. Asked why he was looking for the change of residency, which when she actually came, she didn't know that's what he'd asked for, which I think is
She didn't read the reports before she came.
No. So that was that. She then went and did the visit at school, where his daughter point blank said, I want to live with my father. She said, when would you see your mum? She said, on weekends like I see daddy. She said, how would you feel about missing your mum? She said, I've always wanted to live with daddy. I'd learn more at daddy's. It was never down to like toys, fun activities, things like that. I mean, when she's at ours, it's very much like museums, science projects, things like that. We try and stay away from like
education.
Exactly. So if anything, she probably plays with more toys at home. She was asked about spending time with her mum and her sister, and she said she understands that she wouldn't be spending as much time, and if she did miss them, her daddy would take her back to see them. She was asked about spending more quality time with her mum, and she said that she didn't want to. And that was the whole of the report on her. So they then went to see her at her mother's. And they went to see her at her mother's. Her birthday's in January, right? So they saw, obviously, Christmas has just gone. Now they're seeing her just after her birthday party. So naturally, the mum's cleaned up the house. There's a mad amount of presents. I know there's a mad amount of presents because we threw the birthday party for her and we dropped her home with 2 bin bags of presents.
Yes.
So she had a whole load of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So from a Kafka's perspective, you're walking in there, the child's got everything, of course. But surely you know that going into a home just after Christmas, just after a birthday, that doesn't mean that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time.
It's the same like that.
Exactly.
So what I want to ask you is, he has spent so much money in his court system at the moment. How much would you say off the top of your head he's spent going back and forth? Just a rough figure, not exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say 10 grand, but
Okay.
I don't know.
And with the having seen a child, you still haven't got access to seeing his child at the moment?
Yeah, so he's still seeing her. So what happened was we took it to a final hearing. They then basically, this was when the second Kafkas report came out.
Okay.
The judge said that they could have both of them cross-examined. His barrister actually advised that there was no point in that because it would just be tit for tat, which I was hesitant on. The reason being is there was so many, none of her stories added up. Every statement was a contradictory of the other one. So for me, if they were cross-examined, all her lies would be caught out. I mean, when she was asked about, like every time there was an injury from a child, there was an illness that she'd fabricated, but that didn't add up in the stories. And things like that I thought personally a judge would pick up and go, hold on, that doesn't add up with this. And she would slip up on the lies. The barrister said, look, basically he didn't think that he was going to win the case. So that's kind of the route we went down, that we would just have the Kafkas lady in the stand and that's it. Now she was in there 5-10 minutes max. She basically said the home was fine. It posed no threats. His home was fine, but there was no need to move the child. In his evidence pack, there was pictures of his daughter with a black eye that can't be explained. There's obviously messages, there's recordings from his child saying that mummy said she didn't hit me, I remembered it wrong. There's evidence of the mum prostituting herself during times that she's got custody of both children from the mother's phone. which had been sent to.
But is this alleged or is there proof?
Her face is in it, and it's the words are suggesting PM me for meetups and prices. There is explicit photos that say come breed me up and all sorts of stuff. That was ruled as by her solicitor as him being misogynistic.
Hold on, she's putting out a picture of herself with a phone number saying if you want special services, this is my number or DM me.
Yeah.
And they try and link that to my man.
And I think the thing is that he expressed from the moment that was raised that whatever she decides to do as a job is entirely up to her. He's got no issues with what she decides to do unless the child is in the house, because at the point where she's providing sexual services, physical sexual services on a weekday, if that person's coming into the home, that's not safe. And if the person's not coming into the home, then where is his child or who's looking after his child during those periods of times? And both of the pictures he had evidence of were both midweek, which suggests she had care of 2 children, right? But that was ruled out as just him having a misogynistic point of view. The judge didn't look at it any further than that. So this all went through. Obviously had the full court date for the final hearing. Throughout her entire life, per the mother's request, he's had her every single weekend, every holiday. The end of the court hearing, his time was reduced.
Why did they do that though?
So that the child could spend more quality time with the mother.
How does that make sense?
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Because now when we've seen her, the daughter since, she's in tears to her father saying, but Daddy, I spoke to that lady. I told her that I wanted to stay with you. But Daddy, I've been saying for years I want to live with you. I'm not happy at home. Where do you go from that? How do you explain that?
When he's trying to do it the right way, he's trying to do it for the system, but the system seems to be letting him down.
And I actually said to his barrister on the day of the final hearing, I said, so just so I've got it right, back in April, if he kept her, would he have been better off? And he said, yeah.
See, that's what things it when you're thinking. The system's supposed to be there to help you, and you try to follow in the system. But sometimes, are we not supposed to follow our gut instinct and just do what we want to do, and then just don't worry about the system? Because it's like, when do you supposed to pick and choose? And if the fact that the barrister turned around and said that you should have kept her, like,
I think the thing that concerns me is that you've had in this scenario family court, you've had CAFCAS, you've had early help, you've had the school, and all of them have failed. Every single one of them. Not one of them has gone, there's a child here with injuries that aren't explained. There's a child here that's clearly unhappy and being neglected. There's a child with ill-fitting clothing and an unhygienic home. And they've all gone, no, she's better off staying there. And the main reason around that is that she lives in Stafford, we live in London. So that 2.5 hour, 3 hours is more important than a child's safety. That's crazy to me.
All right. So, Molly, what would you like to say? Because time's up now.
Yeah.
All right. What message would you like to just tell to anyone out there who's maybe going through your situation as the partner, like the girlfriend, the fiance, the wife, who's got a partner who's going through your kind of situation? What would you like to say to them? You can tell them this in this camera here.
I think the main thing is just stay strong. Stick by your partner, your significant other. Don't give up on them and don't give up on their child. And I think support them through that process, you know. It will be difficult, but there is support out there now. So look for it, look down different avenues and just stick by them.
Yeah, well said. I want to say to you lot, I want to hear your lot's views today in the comments below. There's definitely been an interested conversation today in regarding to this. I want to hear it in the comments below. Also, if you're a father out there who's having difficulties of trying to get to see your child, do check out our website, thebabyfathers.com. Do check out, there's some advice on there, how you can get to see your child or try to navigate through the system. That's the word I'm looking for. While you're there as well, do check out the merch. The merch behind me, I think this one sits very well today. My baby mum gives me a headache. This one right here. You can get that merch. Also, the one that I'm wearing right now is Fathers Raise Queens. We also have Father Raises Kings. All on the website, on the online shop store. Yeah, do check that out as well. And don't forget, each and every Thursday is brand new to the Baby Fathers. Have Your Say. That happens every Thursday, 8 p.m. live on YouTube, and where you lot can phone up and have your say, where we do live callers. So make sure you look out for that as well, each and every Thursdays. So for myself, DJ Ridler, and from the Baby Fathers, peace. And we out. What's going on, people? And it's your boy DJ Ridler here. Just to let you know, a brand new show that's come onto the Baby Fathers platform is called Have Your Say. That's where you get involved to have your say on any topic that we talk about on. This happens each and every Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on the Baby Fathers platform.